Hello students, I am Dr. Harpreet Kaur from Army Institute of Law, Mohali. The topic for the day is free speech in the virtual world and the Constitution of India. Introduction of the topic. The concept of free speech is essential in a democratic society. The right to express oneself freely and without fear of reprisal is enshrined in many countries' constitution, including India. With the growth of technology and internet, free speech in the virtual world has become an increasingly important issue. In the virtual world, freedom of speech is a critical issue that needs to be addressed. With the increase of online platform, social media and digital communication, the right to freedom of speech and expression in the virtual world has become even more significant. In India, freedom of speech and expression is a fundamental right enshrined in the Constitution of India, and this right also extends to the virtual world. However, the right to freedom of speech and expression in the virtual world is not absolute, and certain limitations may be imposed on it. The concept of freedom of speech in the virtual world is protected by the Constitution of India. People in India are granted plenty of fundamental rights that defend their lives, freedom and privacy. The users of social networking sites are not virtual by any realm of imagination, and certain individual liberties must be given to them to defend their digital democracy. Not only from a pragmatic perspective, but also a legal perspective, the situation of freedom of speech on social media is a hot discussion issue these days, and people frequently refuse to differentiate between free speech and restriction and direction of the free speech published on the internet, indicating that it is quite necessary to re-evaluate the impact of reasonable restrictions on the right to expression in the virtual world. Free speech in the virtual world. In the virtual world, freedom of speech and expression is exercised through various mediums such as social media, platform, blogs, forums, online news portals, etc. The right to freedom of speech and expression in the virtual world is essential as it allows the individual to express their opinions and ideas freely, engage in public discourse and hold the government accountable. The virtual world has created a space for the people to communicate with each other without any geographical or political boundaries. It has enabled individuals to share their thoughts, ideas and opinion with a wider audience. The virtual world has revolutionized the way individuals exercise their right to free speech and expression. With advent of the internet and social media platform, people now have unprecedented opportunities to share their thoughts, opinions and ideas on a global scale. The virtual world transcends physical boundaries and provides a platform for individuals to engage in public discourse, connect with diverse communities and contribute to the formation of public opinion. Social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter and YouTube have emerged as powerful tools for self-expression and information sharing. They allow individuals to express their views on a wide range of issues, engage in discussions and raise awareness about social, political and cultural matters. The virtual world empowers individuals who may not have had access to traditional media channels to have their voices heard and participate in shaping public discourse. Moreover, the virtual world fosters a sense of community and belongingness, connecting individuals with shared interests, values and goals. Online forums, discussion boards and digital platforms provide spaces for dialogue and the exchange of ideas, enabling the individuals to learn from each other, challenge prevailing norms and broaden their perspectives. The virtual world has become a catalyst for social and political movements, allowing like-minded individuals to organize, mobilize and advocate for changes. However, the expanding boundaries of free speech in the virtual world also present challenges. The ease of anonymity and the absence of face-to-face interactions can lead to the proliferation of hate speech, cyberbullying and spread of misinformation. Individuals may misuse the platform to engage in malicious activities, undermining the principle of free speech and causing harm to others. Striking a balance between facilitating open dialogue and mitigating these negative consequences is essential. As the virtual world continues to evolve, it is crucial to establish guidelines and norms that respect the principles of free speech while addressing the challenges it presents. Platforms need to implement a robust content moderation policies to combat hate speeches, harassment and disinformation, while also ensuring transparency and accountability in the decision making process. Empowering users with tools to report abusive behavior, promoting digital literacy and fostering a culture value responsible online speech can contribute to a healthier and more inclusive virtual environment. The digital world has expanded the boundaries of free speech, enabling individuals to exercise their right to expression and participate in public discourse on a global scale. However, with this expansion comes the responsibility to address the challenges posed by hate speech, cyberbullying and misinformation. By promoting responsible online behavior and implementing effective content moderation strategies, we can foster an inclusive virtual space that upholds the principle of free speech while protecting the well-being of individuals and communities. Right to free speech under the Indian Constitution. The Constitution of India protects the right of freedom of speech and expression under Article 19(1)(a) of the Constitution. The fundamental right to freedom of speech and expression includes the right to express oneself freely, to seek and receive information, to communicate and to engage in public discourse. The Indian Constitution also provides for reasonable restrictions on this right, such as those concerning the sovereignty and integrity of India, the security of the state, public order, decency or morality, or in relation to contempt of court, defamation or incitement to an offence. The right to freedom of speech and expression is not limited to offline activity, but extends to the virtual world as well. In Shreya Singhal versus Union of India, AIR 2015, Supreme Court, page number 1523. The Supreme Court of India has held that right to freedom of speech and expression includes right to receive and impart information through any medium, including the internet. However, this right is not absolute and there are reasonable restrictions that can be imposed under Article 19 Clause 2 to protect the interest of the state and public order, decency and morality and the rights of others. For example, hate speech, incitements to violence and defamation are not protected under the right to free speech. This right is subjected to certain restrictions which are outlined in Article 19 Clause 2. These restrictions are as follows: sovereignty and integrity of India. Speech or expression that threaten the sovereignty and integrity of India, its security and its friendly relationship with foreign countries is prohibited. Public order. Speech or expression that has the potential to disrupt public order, incite violence or cause a breach of peace is not protected. Decency and morality. Speech or expression that is obscene, offensive or vulgar is not protected under the Indian Constitution. Defamation. Any speech or expression that defames or lowers the reputation of an individual or group is not protected. Contempt of court. Speech or an expression that amounts to contempt of court or interferes with the administration of justice is not protected. Incitement to an offence. Speech or an expression that incites or encourages someone to commit an offence is not protected. It is important to note that these restrictions are not absolute and they must be reasonable and proportionate to the aim they seek to achieve. Now, I will be discussing free speech in the virtual world in India. Right to free speech is not absolute and is subjected to reasonable restriction imposed by the government. These restrictions can be imposed in the interest of national security, public order, decency and morality, and to prevent defamation, contempt of court and incitement to an offence. In the virtual world, the government has been known to monitor and censor online content, particularly in cases where the content is deemed to be inflammatory or divisive. The Information Technology Act of 2000, which was amended in 2008, provides a legal framework for regulating online content in India. While the Constitution of India provides for the right to free speech, it is important to note that hate speech and incitement to violence are not protected under the law. Additionally, the use of social media platforms for the dissemination of false information and propaganda is also prohibited under Indian law. Overall, while the right to free speech in the virtual world is protected by the Constitution of India, it is subject to reasonable restriction and is not absolutely right. In India's cyber scenario, one of the greatest reform that sparks in our minds first is the landmark, the Shreya Singhal case against the arbitrariness of Section 66A of Information Technology Act of 2000. But before diving deeper into such a latest judgment, it is preferable to follow the time portal of Indian digital reforms. Observing Indian status of the free speech in digital environment, it is evident that Section 66A is the main culprit behind the creation of all issues. Before the Shreya Singhal case, issues lies in blocking unnecessary content, shutting down websites and networks, as well as criminalizing of online speech. Although Section 66A provides a procedure to provide greater protection to the intermediaries by sending notice and blocking the contents, but who can be an intermediary and what type of content can be removed were unanswerable. In the year of 2011, Mr. Kapil Sibal, Ministry of IT and Communication, directed Facebook, Google and Yahoo to structure and adopt new software which would automatically pre-filter the defamatory as well as religiously harmful statements published on internet. Such directions was clearly an indirect assault against the digital freedom. Hence, both Section 66A and the direction of designing software curbed the free speech rights of the citizen. Besides, Section 66A works on a wide area of including the statement of annoyance, obstruction, enmity, inconvenience, hatred as well as other potential accusation characters, and it imposes a penalty of fine and imprisonment up to 3 years. Hence, the citizens were frightened to exercise their free speech and expression on virtual environment. The incident is of November 18, 2012. Shaheen Dada, a woman of 21 year age, posted her opinion on Facebook regarding the cessation of Mumbai due to funeral ceremony of Bal Thackeray, the chief of Shiv Sena. The post was as follows: respect is earned, not given, and definitely not forced. Today, Mumbai shuts down due to fear and not due to respect. On the said post, only one person, Renu Srinivasan, the friend of Shaheen, liked, and due to this reason both of them were arrested as a criminal complaint was filed against them under Section 295A as well as under Section 505 Clause 2 of Indian Penal Code. Section 295A of IPC penalizes for malicious activities intending to disgrace any religion or any particular classes and their beliefs, whereas Section 505 Clause 2 penalizes for the speeches which creates or spread hatred as well as enmity among the classes. Apart from these two charges, the police also added Section 68A to impose penalty on them, which was a glimpse of capriciousness, as political criticism always create a bit of disturbance of annoyance, but the post published was not containing any harmful material at all, as being a citizen of democratic and republic country. The statement of Shaheen was a free opinion and a personal view and not defamatory at all. Subsequently, the court ordered 14 days imprisonment for them. Surprisingly, on that day itself, they again got bail by paying rupees 15,000 per head. History shows numerous arrests of citizens for criticizing politicians on cyberspace through opinions, cartoons, etc. In order to expound, a bunch of flagrant cases have been referred here. Manoj Oswal was charged for creating inconvenience to Sharad Pawar's relatives due to posting some allegation on his website. Ambikesh Mahapatra, the professor of Jadavpur University, was arrested for making a cartoon of Chief Minister of West Bengal Shrimati Mamata Banerjee. Due to posting caricatures and obnoxious statement on Facebook against Prime Minister Manmohan Singh, President of Samajwadi Party Mulayam Singh Yadav and Mr. Kapil Sibal, Sanjay Chaudhary was arrested under Section 66A of IT Act 2000. It is an ironical fact that till now no politician did face the effect of Section 66A, and it derives into a conclusion henceforth that Section 66A was an effective instrument to protect the activities of the political leaders from any question of citizen. By observing the consequences and cases, a question may arise. It is obvious that the statements against politicians would create annoyance in the society, but do the cases that already held fall under the area of the restriction provided along with free speech? Can the police be empowered to interpret law and arrest an ordinary citizen arbitrarily due to stating his personal viewpoint only? It is nothing but a fateful truth that if such criticism against political corruptions would be subjected to arrest rather than being safeguarded, the free flow of Indian democracy would come to an end. But nothing is bad if end is good. Although legislature failed to protect the citizens through Section 66A, but there was another body which was the last resort to maintain and protect democracy, and that was judiciary, which was reflected through Shreya Singhal versus Union of India judgment. Due to the arbitrary arrest of two girls named Shaheen and Reenu, as discussed earlier, a PIL was filed before the Supreme Court, as it was believed that the police official misused their power by invoking Section 66A on them. A several number of petitions were filed challenging the constitutionality of Section 66A of IT Act 2000, like mouthshut.com versus Union of India 2013 and Shreya Singhal case. Therefore, finally, in 2013, the Supreme Court struck down Section 66A of the IT Act 2000 as being unconstitutional and arbitrary nature. It was declared that Section 66A is only an obstruction, but it also curbs the free speech of the citizens. Hence, by striking down the said provision, the free flow of democracy was properly maintained and the role to be a constitutional court was served in an effective manner. Coming to the legal framework of virtual right to speech. The legal framework governing the free speech in the virtual world in India primarily relies on the Information Technology Act of 2000 and its subsequent amendments. These laws aim to regulate digital platforms, protect users' rights and address various challenges posed by online communication. However, the broad and the ambiguous provisions in these laws have raised concerns regarding their potential misuse and the potential chilling effect of the free speech. One of the key provisions under the Information Technology Act is Section 66A, which criminalizes the sending of offensive or menacing messages through communication services. However, this provision faced significant criticism for its vague language and potential for misuse, leading to its eventual removal by the Supreme Court of India in 2015. The Supreme Court highlighted the need for clarity and precision in defining the offences related to online speech to avoid a chilling effect on free expression. Another provisions under the Information Technology Act that has generated debate is Section 69A, which grants the government the power to block or remove online content that is considered a threat to national security, public order or decency. While this provision allows for the restriction of content in certain circumstances, there is a need for transparent processes and safeguards to ensure that it is not used as a tool for censorship or to stifle dissenting voices. The lack of clarity and specificity in the legal framework poses challenges in applying it to the virtual world effectively. The rapid pace of technological advancements often outpaces the development of legal frameworks, making it challenging to address emerging issues adequately. Moreover, the global nature of the internet adds another layer to the complexity, as online content can easily cross borders and jurisdictional boundaries. The interpretation and application of the existing legal framework by the judiciary plays a vital role in shaping the landscape of the free speech in the virtual world. The Supreme Court of India has played a crucial role in interpreting the constitutional provisions related to free speech and setting precedent for the protection of online expression. However, consistent and uniform interpretation of these provisions is essential to ensure clarity and predictability in the legal landscape. One of the ongoing challenges is the balance between freedom of speech and other constitutional values such as public order, morality and national security. While free speech is a fundamental right, it is not absolute, and Constitution recognizes the need to impose reasonable restriction in certain circumstances. However, determining the limits of these restrictions and striking a balance that respects both free speech and other constitutional values is a delicate task. Moreover, the liability of the intermediaries such as social media platform, internet service providers and search engines is a significant aspect of the legal framework. Intermediaries play a crucial role in moderating content and regulating user behavior. However, the liability provision in the Information Technology Act can pose challenges and create a chilling effect on intermediaries' willingness to host and facilitate free expression. Balancing the responsibility of the intermediaries to combat illegal and harmful content with the need to protect free speech is an ongoing challenge. The legal framework governing free speech in the virtual world in India faces challenges stemming from the broad and ambiguous provision of the Information Technology Act. Ensuring clarity, precision and consistency in the interpretation and application of these laws is crucial. Striking a balance between freedom of speech and other constitutional values and addressing the liability of intermediaries require ongoing dialogue, legislative reform and engagement with relevant stakeholders. A robust and well-defined legal framework is essential to protect and promote free speech in the virtual world while upholding democratic principles and safeguarding the right and dignity of individual. Now, coming to the challenges to free speech in the virtual world. While the virtual world offers immense opportunities for free speech, it also presents several challenges that need to be addressed. One of the primary concerns is the proliferation of online hate speech and spread of misinformation. The ease of anonymity and the vast reach of the internet can embolden individuals to engage in hate speech targeting specific individuals or groups based on their race, religion, gender or other characteristics. This not only poses a threat to the well-being of those targeted, but also undermines the principle of equality and inclusivity. Furthermore, the spread of misinformation or fake news in the virtual world has the potential to mislead and manipulate public opinion. The viral nature of social media platform and the rapid dissemination of information make it challenging to distinguish between factual and false content. This poses a significant risk to democratic processes as misinformation can shape public perceptions, influence elections, and erode trust in institutions. Another challenge in the virtual world is the phenomena of online harassment and cyberbullying. The relative anonymity provided by digital platform can encourage individuals to engage in abusive behavior, targeting others with threat, insult, or personal attacks. The psychological and emotional impact of online harassment can be severe, leading to self-censorship and silencing of marginalized voices. Moreover, the virtual world also faces the challenge of algorithmic biases and echo chamber. Algorithmic use by the social media platform and search engine often personalizes content based on user preferences, leading to the creation of filter bubbles and echo chambers. This can limit exposure to diverse perspectives and hinder the health exchange of ideas, reinforcing pre-existing belief and polarizing public discourse. Balancing the need to combat hate speech, misinformation and online harassment with the principle of free speech is a complex task. While regulation and content moderation are necessary to maintain a safe and inclusive online environment, there is also a risk of overreach, leading to censorship and stifling of legitimate expression. Striking the right balance required nuanced approach that take into account the context, cultural sensitivities and the evolving nature of online communication. Addressing these challenges require a multi-stakeholder approach involving platform, government, civil society organization and users themselves. Platform must invest in robust content moderation system that effectively identify and address hate speech, harassment and misinformation while ensuring transparency and accountability in their process. Government should enact and enforce law that strike a balance between protecting free speech and addressing the harmful consequences of online communication. Digital literacy and media literacy programs are crucial in equipping individuals with the skill to critically evaluate information, identity misinformation and engage in responsible online behavior. Empowering users to report abusive content and providing accessible mechanism for redressal can create a safer online space for free speech. The virtual world presents challenges to free speech in the form of hate speech, misinformation, online harassment and algorithmic biases. Addressing these challenges requires a balanced and a collaborative approach, ensuring that the principle of free speech are upheld while protecting individuals from harm. By promoting digital literacy, fostering responsible online behavior and implementing effective regulation, we can create an inclusive and democratic virtual world that encourages free speech and respect the dignity of all individuals. Concluding the topic, it can be said that social networking sites contain the virtual world is perceived as the contemporary challenge of interaction in today's era, without which no quick solution is possible to link the entire world in one thread. This is indeed a crucial point that the same virtual environment are also enriched with hassles related to digital democracy, where freedom of speech and expression also play a major role as it does in case of real world. Even the freedom related issues are going to be much more restrictive in virtual environment than the real scenario. Although to defend the cyber freedom, right to free speech and expression should be provided widely, but it cannot also be denied that assuring absolute freedom will amount to the spread of cyberbullying, offensive statements as well as hate speech resulting to the bodily injury of the individual. Therefore, before implementing any guidelines for the cyberspaces, the responsibility of the legislature is to regulate the freedom of virtual user to the degree when it is true threat or highly offensive in nature, and to unregulated the freedom of virtual user to the degree when it is just a criticism and not amounting to a true threat to anybody. being a fourth pillar of a nation, and a third world. Likewise, the social or digital media should be preserved in such an effective way that along with ensuring the individual rights to expression, the precarious speeches and bullying should certainly be taken care of. Also, where there are no seemingly dangerous and possible coercion towards anyone, the matter should be left for the decision of the concerned users, because report spam options are nowadays a very easy resort to get rid of less harmful speeches. Therefore, for such less defamatory speeches, the action should be taken care by the user itself, and the best action one can take is to oppose by speech, but that should be proportionate and not extreme. However, the threats causing serious harm to the society of the individual are a different matter, which must not be escaped and left for people's choice. Last but not the least, First Amendment, Indian Constitution, Universal Declaration of Human Rights and other Bill of Rights etc. varying from nation to nation have been safeguarding you through the bunch of rights, including the right to free speech and expression, so that without any fear you can share and express your views and opinions in the virtual media. One has the fundamental right to opine about any matter, but not in a vulgar or abusive way which would harm others badly. Apart from legislature and judiciary, it is very individual who has the ultimate responsibility to improve the status of free speech in the virtual world, instead of degrading it through abuses, obnoxious and harmful threats, comments and expression. This is ultimately the main mission and vision behind safeguarding with the fundamental rights and cyber democracy as well. I hope you find this lecture useful. Thank you and have a nice day.